So let's really quick, all of you have this handout here, and you can download the high resolution version of this for free on my website, and I'll also put it in the notes. This is the behavioral table of elements, and it was created when about season 2 or season 3 of The Bachelor was out. So this is in 2004-ish, circa 2004. My mother and I, my parents live in Houston, Texas. My mother and I are sitting in my parents' study in these big leather chairs, and we're each having a glass of red wine. And I had never seen The Bachelor before. So it's one of my mom's shows that she watches. She brings it up, and she's walking me through all of the women on this show, and the ones that she likes, the ones she doesn't like. She says, oh, this one is such a bitch, and this one is really honest. I like her. She's really nice to him. And I said, wait, the one that you said was honest lied to him when they were in the hot tub together just a second ago. And she had a TiVo. So we went back and I showed her these little micro movements of deception. And she said, man, I wish I could just have your eyes for one episode of The Bachelor. That's what she wanted all my government training for The Bachelor. So in bed that evening, I'm laying down in the bedroom that I grew up in. And I'm thinking, when I was a kid, I learned a lot of really cool facts about the world based on placemats. My mom had waterproof placemats that were kind of a rubbery plastic that she'd put on the table when I ate breakfast. Some of them had all the presidents on them. Some of them had the continents. Some had the planets. And I would learn just basic facts and stuff on these placemats. And I laid in bed and I thought, how can I fit all human behavior on a single placemat? And 7.5 to 9 years later, this came out. And it took a while for a cell, just one of these cells, to be on this table. It has to have a minimum of 4 academic references. So I haven't put anything on here without some academic backing. And each one of these cells is a little bit different. So let's walk through some of these. Just as you're looking at the screen here, you'll see some that have blue letters right here, like shoulder shrugging, squinting, self-hug, constantly raised shoulders, the wrapping your arm around your stomach area, hugging your knees, turtling, speaking fast. Those behaviors are more likely to occur in cold temperatures, so they have blue letters on them. The red letter behaviors, they might be down here, just like digital flexion, which we're going to learn about. That has a deception rating of 2.0, the little number on the bottom middle of the cell. But if you see digital flexion in correlation or at the same time as any of these gray behaviors, which are all 4.0 on the deception scale, then digital flexion, which was a 2, now becomes a 4. So the behavior that you're seeing, if it's just those 2 things, is an 8 on the deception scale. The highest number that any behavior can get is a 4.0, and that's that small number in the bottom middle of all the cells. And just underneath that is another little abbreviation. Some say B, D, or A, or a combination of those. And that means, am I more likely to see this behavior before a person answers a question, during their answer, or after they answer? So up here in the top left, we have the arm cross, and we can see that there's a little tiny A there in the bottom right corner. That means the arm cross, if it is deceptive, is most likely to be seen after a statement. We've all seen the Richard Nixon tape, or you can look it up on YouTube, where he says, "I'm not a crook." And he steps back from the podium and crosses his arms and starts looking around the room. And that's a good example of that. And there are some other colors here. So there's cells that are like a light blue background, these right here. These are all variable. That means there's more than one way that you could do it. Your blink rate, for instance, this one here on the top, could be fast or slow. So there's dual ways to measure it. The green are the lowest deception indicators. these teal or, I don't know, turquoise colored looking ones, these are all the facial expressions that we can make. So there's a lot here on the behavioral table, and some of the cells even have regional context. Like right here, it says cultural prevalence, and that's where that would indicate if it is less likely to be done in the Ukraine or more likely to be done in Asian countries. So it'll have that on there. And there's some in here that are only seen in Bulgaria, and that's listed on there as well. So for one of these cells, or for a human behavior to be graded as being deceptive, it needs to be a score of 11 or higher on the deception rating scale, which is that number in the bottom middle of all of these cells. And this clock starts, I know some of you might be asking, do I tally up an entire conversation? Because somebody might score like a 6,000. So when we're counting up or tallying up these behaviors, the clock starts the moment I start as the person asking the question. I start that clock the moment I start asking. The clock continues. There's a pause. The person I'm talking to answers the question, and then there's another pause, and then the clock stops. So every verbal exchange, the clock stops. And not all situations fit perfectly into that category. So it is an organic thing. You have to use the judgment of the person that's using it. But that's the basics of it. And I hope that you at least use the tool to learn about behavior, because I have never seen anything like it. And I tried to fit, I am obsessed for some reason with fitting everything onto one page. And I promise you, we're not going to go through that whole thing. We're not going to like dissect that. It would be an extremely boring class. So we know that an 11 is necessary for deception to be graded as likely. And a variable gesture means that there's multiple ways that it can be measured. Like a postural tilt is a variable gesture. A postural tilt is somebody could be leaning towards someone or away from someone. And the highest deception rating that any small behavior cell can get is a 4. So no single behavior can be graded as deceptive. And there is one exception to that, which we'll get into when we cover deception here.